I'm Mercedes, 36. 6 months ago, I never thought I'd have the courage to stand up to my parents. But at my cousin Leo's 42nd birthday party, they crossed a line with my 13-year-old son, Lucas, and I had to act. Lucas had been working on an amazing hydroponic garden project for months. It won first place at his school and was moving on to the regional competition. He was so excited to show it to my parents, hoping for a bit of approval. But as soon as we arrived at my parents' mansion, things went wrong. My mother, Isabella, a former high-end fashion designer, looked at Lucas from head to toe with a critical eye. "Lucas, your jeans are so torn. And that hair. You look like a street kid. There's a prestigious academic program I've been thinking about for you, but they have strict grooming standards." My father, Victor, a wealthy real estate mogul, was sipping his scotch in the corner. When Lucas said he had a project to show, my father just said, "Later, maybe. There's a business meeting on TV I want you to watch." During dinner, the situation got worse. My father started talking about how important it was for boys to be involved in high-profile sports and business-related activities. "At your age, Lucas, I was already making my first real estate deals. What are you doing? Playing with plants?" Lucas tried to explain his project, but my father just scoffed. "Hydroponics? That's a hobby, not a real pursuit. You should be focusing on something that will make you money." My mother joined in. "Lucas, you're so quiet. Boys should be more assertive. You need to be out there, making connections, not hiding in your little garden." Lucas's face fell, and he started to shrink into his chair. I watched, my heart breaking, as my son, who was usually so full of life and ideas, was being torn apart. I remembered my own childhood. Growing up as the only daughter of Victor and Isabella was a constant struggle. They always had high expectations, and any small mistake was met with harsh criticism. I was pressured to study business and fashion, even though I loved literature and art. When I married Mark, a musician, they were furious. They thought he had no real future, no ambition. Our early marriage was wonderful, especially when Lucas came along. Mark was an amazing father, teaching Lucas to play the guitar and encouraging his love for nature. But when Lucas was 8, Mark and I divorced. It was an amicable split, but my parents saw it as another failure on my part. They wanted me to move back in with them, but I knew that would be a disaster for Lucas and me. I focused on creating a warm, loving home for Lucas. He grew into a kind, intelligent boy with a passion for nature and a talent for science. But my parents never understood him. They always made comments about how he should be more like other boys, more into sports, and less into his weird hobbies. I used to try to smooth things over, change the subject, and make excuses. But at that dinner, I couldn't take it anymore. When my father made another cruel comment about Lucas's project, I stood up, my chair scraping loudly on the floor. "That's enough, Dad. You're humiliating my son, and I won't allow it." My mother's eyes widened in shock. "Mercedes, don't be so dramatic. Your father is just trying to guide Lucas." I retorted, "This isn't guidance. This is cruelty. You've been doing this to me and Lucas for years, and I'm done." My father's face turned red with anger. "Sit down, Mercedes. You're out of line. You're raising a weakling, just like you've always been too soft." I looked him straight in the eye. Better a kind, sensitive boy than a cold-hearted, judgmental man. Lucas is amazing just the way he is, and I'll protect him from your toxic criticism." Lucas, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly stood up. His hands were shaking, but his voice was firm. "Stop talking about my mom like that. She's the best mom in the world, and you're supposed to be her parents, not her bullies." My father was speechless for a moment, then he roared, "Sit down, boy. You have no respect for your elders." Lucas replied, "Respect is earned, not demanded. You haven't earned mine." After that, we left the house. Lucas and I sat in the car, both of us in tears. He asked me, "Mom, why do they hate me so much? What did I do wrong?" I held him close. "You did nothing wrong, Lucas. They're the ones with the problem. They're unhappy people who try to make themselves feel better by putting others down. In the following days, my parents were furious. They called and texted, saying that Lucas's behavior was unacceptable and that I was encouraging him. But I stood my ground. I told them that if they wanted to have a relationship with us, there would be rules. No more public humiliation, no more criticism disguised as advice, and unconditional respect for Lucas and me. At first, they were stubborn. But as the weeks passed, we started to hear some changes. My aunt, Sophia, my mother's sister, who had always been on our side, told us that my parents were starting to realize the error of their ways. My father even missed a few high-profile business events, which was very unlike him. A month later, we received a handwritten letter from my father. He apologized for his behavior, saying that he had been blind to the damage he had caused. He asked if we could meet at a neutral place to start rebuilding our relationship. We decided to meet at a local park. When we saw my parents, they looked different. My mother seemed more tired, and my father, who usually carried himself so arrogantly, looked a bit subdued. Lucas spoke first, using the I statements his counselor had taught him. I feel hurt when you criticize my interests. I feel anxious before coming to your house because I'm afraid of being made fun of. My parents listened without interrupting. When it was their turn, my father struggled to speak. We don't know how to be different. We were raised in a world where success was measured in a very narrow way. But we're willing to change. We agreed to family therapy with Dr. Grace, a wise and kind therapist. In therapy, my parents learned to listen and understand our feelings. Outside of therapy, we started new traditions. We went to nature reserves together, and Lucas taught my father about different plant species. My mother even joined us for some art classes that Lucas loved. There were still some old habits that resurfaced. My father would sometimes make a comment about Lucas's lack of interest in business, and my mother would mention his messy hair. But now we were able to point it out, and they would correct themselves. Lucas is flourishing in this new environment. His hydroponic garden project advanced to the national competition, and he's made new friends who share his love for nature. He even asked me the other day, "Mom, do you think Grandpa and Grandma are happier now?" I thought about it and said, I think they're learning a new way to live, and it's both hard and freeing for them. The journey of healing our family relationships is ongoing. There are still missteps, but there's also awareness and a genuine effort to do better. Standing up to my parents was the best thing I ever did, not just for Lucas and me, but for them too. It taught Lucas that his voice matters, it taught my parents that respect is earned, and it taught me that I have the strength to break the cycle of family toxicity.